Hello, good people of the internet. Another year has passed and thank God it has. I'm pretty confident that each and every one of us has had to live with more limitations than we're used to, but rest assured, better times are coming. Hopefully. Right now, there most likely is a light at the end of this pitch black and dreadfully long tunnel. To cheer myself up, I made a small list of photography related things I want to see in the coming year, or this year, depending on when I upload this video. And if I've done a good enough job, it might just distract you from everything else that is happening for 10 minutes or so. I will do my best. In terms of cameras released, my impression was that 2020 was mostly about iterative updates. Canon improved their previous attempt at making a full-frame mirrorless camera and released the EOS R5 and R6. The Nikon Z6 and Z7 Mark II are slightly improved versions of their predecessors. Even the X-T4 I'm filming this very video on is basically just an X-T3 with a tilty flippy screen and IBIS. Sony has been slightly more courageous in releasing the A7s Mark III and A7C. From what I've heard, the new A7S is basically the video focused camera that isn't an actual cinema camera you can buy right now. Despite not having any of the gimmicky features other cameras introduced, such as 8K recording, it has definitely been a big step forward for the A7S line. The A7C is a very interesting concept and like nothing we've seen before. It's a full-frame camera in an eeny-weeny APS-C body. I want to see Fuji, Nikon and Canon produce something that can rival Sony's more niche cameras. Perhaps an RX100 rival camera from Nikon or a A7C sized Canon EOS R would be good for the industry as a whole. While the X-T4 is already very decent at video, I also want to see a Fuji X-H2 that rivals the video features Sony and Canon cameras have. Saying that, not every camera released this year was a boring upgrade. While I still think the Zeiss ZX-1 is a terrible idea and more recent videos I've seen on it have definitely solidified my opinion, credit is given where credit is due. Zeiss did try something new, or kind of new. They tried something that had been tried in the past and quickly given up on. But the ZX-1 is a camera that is drastically different from everything else on the market. I want to see more risky decisions, not necessarily a mid-range smartphone crammed into the back of a full-frame camera risky, but you know, something else. I still like the idea of being able to run Android apps on a camera such as Sony used to do. Perhaps that feature could be brought back from the dead. Don't ask me what risky things camera manufacturers could do. If I knew the answer, I wouldn't be making YouTube videos, but I would be employed in the industry. But are risky decisions likely to happen? I have my doubts. Pretty much every industry was hit by the consequences of COVID-19, and it's more likely that the camera industry will play it safe. Still, I'm open to any surprises. By the way, if you want to be the first to hear about any new risky products, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'm all about covering the weird and wonderful. Everything I've just mentioned also applies to tripods. The only true innovative tripod I've seen in the last years was the Peak Design travel tripod. Not everyone liked it. In fact, I get the impression that most professional reviews were mixed to negative. In terms of stiffness, it's actually not all too bad, and you'll be hard pressed to find a travel tripod with a smaller volume. It also appears that those who bought it actually really liked it. You have to praise Peak Design for at least trying something new, and I hope their courage was rewarded with plenty of sales. I found another completely new concept for a tripod in the form of the so-called Luma Pod on Kickstarter. This one really is a departure from everything we know. Unfortunately, it was announced 2 years ago and I can't find anyone who has actually been able to buy it. Still, I'm glad to see there are still a few out there trying something new and radical. Onto the cameras I hope to see in 2021. Besides the RX100 competitor from Nikon, Fujifilm or anyone else I mentioned earlier, seriously, make it happen. There are a few more additions I'd like to see. One in particular. Basically, I want the Sony ZV-1 and the GoPro Hero 9 to have a baby. The ZV-1 was meant to be a vlogging camera, but the lens was just far too tight. It's called vlogging and not facing for a reason. Take the wide angle USB-C port and fun features such as time warp from the GoPro, the sensor, autofocus and microphone jack from the Sony, and mash them into a single camera. I wouldn't even mind if it were a fixed lens as long as it were wide enough. It doesn't need to be quite as rugged as a GoPro, but basic better sealing, which is something the ZV-1 is missing, would be nice. Or perhaps Sony could have another go at an RX0 camera and this time make it useful. Talking about GoPro, it's about time they got some competition again. The Insta360 One R was a good start, but there needs to be a version 2. And I'd like to see Sony or Garmin join the fray again, or for someone new to join the game. The Sony Fdr X3000r is to this day a good action camera, but it desperately needs a successor. GoPro still keeps pushing out new action cameras on a yearly basis, so there has to be a market for them. While we're talking about the Sony ZV-1, it's time to banish micro USB from all cameras and all camera related accessories for that matter. I don't want to see any lights, flashes, chargers or gimbals with that ancient technology anymore. It's USB-C or bust. Oh, and despite me not using one, I also want Apple to get rid of the lightning port on iPhones because I don't have any lightning cables in my home and friends keep asking me for one when they're over. It doesn't end at just including a USB-C port on the camera. I want to see power delivery and, if possible, the ability to use SSDs as storage devices, which is something every hybrid camera should allow. Time to be vain for a moment. As a Fujifilm owner, I'm hoping for some more third-party lenses. The more, the merrier. The Tokina lenses were a good start, and a commenter who could get their hands on them reported that they do apparently produce nicer images when compared to the unofficial Viltrox lenses. I don't just want more lenses for the greater selection, but also to push prices of already existing lenses down. While I love my Fuji, the first-party lenses definitely don't come in cheap. As someone who uses many accessories, I'd also like to see a better integration between cameras and those accessories on the whole. For example, every powered microphone should automatically power on when the camera gets turned on. Camera apps need to be usable and allow for basic things such as using the phone's GPS to geotag photos consistently and without crashing. Remote shutter releases should be able to function with any camera, which would be possible if the manufacturers could come up with some kind of standard. Finally, the coming year will be a time to reflect for most of us. I think we've learned a lesson about having to plan ahead. There have been many photographers who lost their main source of income because of various lockdowns or isolation periods. If you've not done so already, figure out a plan B, and I hope you, as well as me, find one. COVID-19 most likely won't be the last pandemic level virus we'll have to live through. On that somber note, it's time to wish you all the best for 2021. Thank you very much for watching, and if you want to make my year ever so slightly better, please do like this video to show your appreciation and consider subscribing to my channel. It really does make a difference. And if you didn't like this video, hit that dislike button twice to make it extra impactful. Alright, it's been enough from me for one day. I will see you in the next one. Bye.